And I'd ask Council Steve Smith to lead us in prayer and pledge of allegiance.
Our heads. Heavenly Father, we're thankful again to be here to do the city's business, Lord. We pray that you be with each and every one of us. Help us make decisions that are good for the city and good for the citizens, Lord. For Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will wait for roll call. Mr. Nance, can you hold it down a little bit?
Yeah, I'm here. I didn't hear anything though. I can't hear Eva or anybody, but
Oh, can you not hear anybody, Mr. Nance?
no, I can't hear anybody. I can hear you just fine, but nobody else.
Nobody else is talking. We're on hold like you are.
Sorry, folks. My wife was watching and told me to put a mask on.
Uh-oh.
Amen. You're a wise man. We're good. Let's have roll call, please.
Here.
Here.
Dennis Nance,
Here.
Steve Smith,
Here.
Randy Chiplett,
Here.
Brandon Redfield,
Here.
Yolanda Thompson,
Here.
Jimmy Sherman,
Here.
Thank you. There are no petitions from the audience tonight. Department head reports, building inspector, no report. Emergency management would recognize Mr. Johnny Jansen.
The only thing I really got today was we finally got FEMA to sign off on the golf course project, $145,000 and some change. We've got to collect some canceled checks and things that went through the bank to submit to them. I'll do that here, if we can get that done here in the next week or so. And
Thank you. There are no petitions from the audience.
so,
Very good. Could you give us an update on COVID-19 and things that are happening just from your brain there?
well, I can just tell you, I'm sure everybody's aware that we're having more people test positive and different that we deal with on a regular basis. So that's kind of concerning, of course. We're doing the best we can, though. I went yesterday and collected 10 5-gallon buckets full of the acid that it takes to use in the sprayers, and took some to the PD and took some to the sheriff's office, and going to give some to Dennis for the golf course. If anybody needs more of that, I need to know, so we're going to try to go get it weekly or every other week.
I need some, please.
You need some?
Yeah.
Okay. So if anybody will get back with me by tomorrow on how much they need, then we'll make another call on Friday and collect it. We go to Veneta or to Wagner and get it, either spot.
Very good.
Anybody have any other questions?
Is the reason everything's kind of going up is because there's more testing going on? Is that the big reason?
I think that's part of it. I think the other part of it is it seems like that a younger crowd is starting to be more apt to get tested positive than the older ones. I think that's maybe because the older ones are a little bit more careful about what they're doing. The younger ones are probably getting tired of it, you know, so they get them back to life as usual and they just live with it. You know, a lot of the people though that are getting tested positive are asymptomatic, you know, they don't have any symptoms at all. You know, but we do still have a few that are in the hospital, and we've had a fatality last week, and, you know, so that is still going on.
Okay.
Are the death rates going down, percentage-wise?
Probably. I haven't really looked at it, but I would say probably. You know, in the first couple of months, we had 4 in Mace County that were deaths. We had 1 last week. We're probably gonna have another one show up in the next day or 2. So, you know, it's not as much as it was originally, but we're still having a few.
Very good.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Johnny. Fire Department, no report. Golf course, recognize Dennis Bowman.
Good evening. Things are going really good at the golf course. You know, we keep on the first thing on our list is always safety, because we've been running a lot of people through there, which is a good thing, but, you know, we gotta keep them safe in doing that. As Johnny mentioned, I was able to purchase the little Mr. sprayers that goes with the chemical that he got, so, I got 4 of them, 1 for the golf course, and then, the PD and the library and the park department. So that, all you gotta do with that stuff is put that chemical in that Johnny's got and spray it on there and you're done. So there is no cleaning, it doesn't hurt anything, so I think that'll be a good addition to the safety program. We ended the year really good. June, we've been averaging a little over 800 paid rounds a month, and we did almost 1,300. So that was, you know, a really big jump, a little over 60% jump. So some of that's due to Fernmore Golf Courses closed, because they're putting about, somebody said almost $1 million into it, renovating all the greens and bunkers. So they're putting money in their golf course, which is good. And but we're getting a lot of extra play from a lot of places. Weekend, you know, we had people from all, you know, people come in from everywhere. We had them from Kansas City, all over the place come in, they visit family and they play golf. So, and we're getting a lot of good compliments on the golf course, so that's good. We hosted the NEO Veterans Freedom Tour tournament to raise money to send some of the vets to Washington, and that was a small tournament, but it went really good. Everything went good, and we raised a little over $1,700 for them. So that was all a good thing. We're hosting the night tournament, the Lions Club night tournament. So we kept the field small so we can manage the people, but it is filled up already. It's Friday, July 24th. It's our little night tournament. It's the funnest tournament we do, because they come out there, we play 9 holes in the evening. We divide up the teams, we set up the course for night golf, and then we feed everybody, and we send them back out and play night golf. So when you hit those night golf balls, it looks like little missiles going through the air. They glow, and so it's pretty fun to watch. Everybody has a lot of fun with that event, and of course you know, the Lions Club, they use their money for eyeglasses and local scholarships. So hopefully we can help them raise a bunch of money and put money back into their community. I just want a couple things keep in front of the council. You know, we're in badly need of a maintenance building. I know y'all have got a lot of things on your plate, but the golf course does need a maintenance building, and it needs several other things. I've been visiting with the mayor about roof on the house and some more equipment and stuff. So anyway, I just want to keep y'all informed on some of that. You know, from what I've seen, the more nicer we've made that place, the more it's helped our revenue, and people are enjoying our golf course. So storm did knock out we had a storm Saturday morning, and it did knock out my pump station. So hopefully we're getting some parts there that are minimal cost to get that back going. So Kinda rough to wake up on a Saturday morning and have to deal with pump station issues, but that's part of it. Anybody have any questions for me? Please come out and play. Get a chance, come out and I'll show you around.
Thank you, Dennis. Library, recognize Carrie Raritt.
I honestly don't have anything to report, except we are wrapping up our previous fiscal year and getting started on the new one. Our summer reading registrations are still going. People are doing our activities. They seem to be having fun, but we still aren't having the programming, so we're not seeing as many people as we like. But otherwise, do you guys have any questions for me? Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much, Carrie. Parks and Cemetery, no report. Police Department, Chief Nichols.
Really don't have anything unless you all do. It's hot. About all I can say. People's tempers are a little short, but we're staying busy. Questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Recreation Center. Recognize Houston Britton, Chairman of the Board.
I'll give everyone an update on the rec center. Just been in touch with the girls down there working. They've been doing a very, very good job of maintaining day-to-day operations. Visit with them quite often, me and some of the other board members, as well as the mayor. There's some items on the agenda tonight which will certainly give them some help should that be passed. And then the process to find a director is currently full force, and so we'll have some results on that as well. So outside of that, the membership looks like it's starting to pick up a little bit. We made some changes in the last rec meeting regarding lifting some of the safety items, just a few little changes here and there to just take step by step to just kind of see how this thing goes. The response to that's been great, but as far as I can see and just by observing and talking with the girls, they're doing a really good job and it's really doing all right. So just an update.
Thanks, sir. Street Department, Mr. Buddy Glenn.
We've had several things we've been going on. We've, since it's been dry weather, we've been out dipping ditches. We've got probably 2,300 feet that we've done so far on dipping ditches. We've got installed 6 driveway pipe. Most of them's over off of Southeast 6th Street, over Mr. Ragdale's doing, where he's building those houses over there. We've got that one there just about accomplished and finished up over there. We've been cleaning some of the ditches out west of Pryor. They've been needing it for a while, but it's been so wet that we haven't been able to get in there. So we've got those all the way out to the curb to the end of the city limits out west of town. We've got those been accomplished. That's finished up on that project. Whereas the alleys, we went back through the alleys again here the other day. It took probably about 4 weeks to go through the first time. The second time we was able to go through and trim and spray and weed eat in about a week. So it's made a big difference. We're trying to get into some of the drainages now. One of our skid steers broke down. The axle bolts that goes into the back that runs the tracks, the one side of it busted off. So we've got it over there and we haven't heard any time for its repair. So we're down to 1 skid steer. So we're working on some of the streets for the contractor, some of the places that has had concrete put back across our asphalt streets. We're going through and tearing those out to help try to speed up the contractor so he's not having to mill over up to them and clean out around them. So we're doing that. So we're having to use the more drainages and use the jackhammer off of that, kind of splitting them back and forth. So it's kind of slowed down just a little bit, but trying to keep all the guys hydrated and you know, like I told them before, they're the only ones that know that if they're getting hot and need to sit down. You know, so if they're sitting down, if you get a call or something that the guys are sitting not doing anything, they're probably sitting down for a scheduled break time or something like that. If not, let me know and I'll go and put a fire underneath them. But they've been doing pretty good. The contractor, he just finished up south of Van from 6th Street or from 5th Street to 7th. And of course, he's got Van Street. We were discussing today. We've got to go back and couple of parking areas that we've got to do. They're finished up on Lewis Street. They're supposed to been hauling off their mess over there that they had. And they're supposed to be starting over, what I understand, on 17th Street, the first one of the Hawthorne Court, I think, is where the concrete, they're supposed to start tearing that out and start replacing all that. So things been moving along, just a little slow on equipment and heat wise, but other than that,
What percentage has the contractor completed?
it's probably about 80% on phase one, except for this, like I said, we've got there on Southeast Sixth Street, those two parking areas that he still lacks. And I believe that will finish up phase one. And then phase two, they've already started part of, North Van Street was part of phase two. They've got Hogan Street, they've got one area there they've got to come back and redo. It's another one of those concrete spots. And so we're trying to decide whether we're going to just go ahead and tear it out, where they can just come back in and do their own base repair and just match up to it. So, but they should be starting phase two here, just should be today. I think they was over there starting to do some sawing.
Good.
So, other than that,
Good job on the curb work over in our end of the world, over at Ward One.
hopefully, like I said, they'll be kicking right along and hopefully get this done before school starts.
That'd be nice. Thank you, buddy. Move now to Mayor's Report. Item A, presentation by Municipal Utility Board General Manager Jared Crisp. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. So Grand River Dam Authority rolled out a program here the past few weeks, wanting to recognize the essential workers. We all know the nurses and the doctors and the employees at Walmart, or all those types of employees get the recognition. The people that don't get it are the city workers, the utility workers. So GRDA, since we're a public power partner in community, and we've been a customer for theirs since 1951. Jimmy Joe, can you help me out here, buddy? They provided us with some banners with our logos on them.
How about that?
To basically it says heroes work here to meet your critical needs. We've got Cedar Pryor, MUB, and GRDA. So they provided us with two, and they provided the city with two. So we're gonna put them. Yeah, there's nothing. Pretty nice. They provided a bunch of cords. They provided zip ties. They did not provide the T-post, but that's okay. I told them we picked that up. So we're gonna put them in strategic locations around town. I'll probably put one out in front of my mug warehouse. We probably put, if you wanna put one out here in front of City Hall, maybe
Yeah.
one on the Chamber building, or police, fire, library. I don't think it matters, It just gives us shows us that we're appreciated, and that's what we like to know.
We'll be very happy to place those in appropriate places.
I'm gonna leave this one here with you guys, so I don't have to deal with it. I'll bring up the other one tomorrow. So
All right. Thank you.
everything else, so.
Thank you very much.
Item, I believe.
Very good. Thank you, Jared. We'll move to item B, discussion, possible action regarding an increase in the residential water rates inside the corporate city limits of Pryor Creek from $4.50 per 1,000 gallons to $4.52 per 1,000 gallons, effective August 2020 billing. Is there a motion?
I'll make it.
Second.
Motion, Choya, Shropshire, second Randy Chitwood, and Mr. Crisp is here to speak to that motion.
Thank you, Mayor. As you are aware, we purchased our water from OWA and then distributed it to the customers of the Cedar Pryor. So they get to reevaluate their water rates twice a year. So July 1, January. Well, their past board of trustees meeting, they approved a rate increase of 2 cents per 1,000 gallons, which 1,000 gallons is 1 unit. So I visited with my board, and we decided as a group to see if we could pass it on to the customer, because just some useless information here for numbers that people might ask you is, how much water does the city of Pryor use? Well, July 1st of 2019 to June 30th, this past month, we bought 444 million gallons of water, which is equivalent to 444,000 units. So 2 cents may not seem like a lot, but when you put it in those terms, it averages out to about $8,800 a year. I know years past, we would possibly hold on to a couple and then hit you all at once. Well, I'm not a big fan of that because I don't feel like we should have to eat that cost. So if we're just asking the council to allow us to approve the 2 cent cost adjustment. This is gonna be a straight pass-through, no markup. Average customer uses 5,000 gallons or 5 units unless it's Jimmy, he uses 10 because he waters a lot. You're gonna see the average customer will be seeing 10 cents. You'll see 20 cents additional bill. So really won't see it, but it is what it is. So I'll answer any questions you guys may have.
Any questions?
Will this affect the sewer rate too? We go up?
No.
No, okay.
Sewer rate's gonna stay the same.
That's what we'll clarify, okay.
This will be effective August 2020 billing, which will be September 1st bills that you will see.
Yeah.
So basically it will be July, middle of July to middle of August is when we read meters, and that will be the August billing and September collections.
Very good, very good. Any other questions? Jared, thank you for speaking to that tonight. Appreciate that.
Thanks for having me.
There's been a motion second. We'll call for vote.
Ketchum,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Chipwood,
Yes.
Redfield,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jared. Item C, opening of sealed bids for items declared surplus by Prior Creek Golf Course. Of all of those items, I have 3 sealed bids. The first one that I will open will be item 1 for the Progressive ProFlex mower. So we'll open this guy. I, John Kent, at 9876 East 410 Road, Strang, Oklahoma, 74367. Bidding $300 for the Progressive ProFlex mower that was purchased 9/6/2005. Discussion and possible action regarding bids received but for Progressive ProFlex mower. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion Chitwood, second Smith. Discussion.
Is that the only bid we have?
That was the only bid that we had for that item.
Did we have a certain amount that we were trying to hit, or just any bid?
I would ask Mr. Bowman to answer that question.
We didn't have a specific amount set that I'd like to get, other than what it would take for us to probably haul it to salvage,
Okay.
you know, and that's quite a bit of work to get it on a trailer and haul it away and collect the money for it, so.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Other questions? Call for vote.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Chipwood,
Yes.
Redfield,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Ketchum,
Yes.
The next item we received bid on, item 3. (1973) Chevy cab and chassis, Garrett Ball, number 6, North 4428 Road, Salina, Oklahoma, 74365. bid of $200. Item 3, discussion possible action regarding bids received for 1973 Chevy cab and chassis. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion Chitwood, second Smith. Discussion.
Again, only one?
Only one bid on that item. Any other discussion? Call for vote.
Nance,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Chipwood,
Yes.
Redfield,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Ketchum,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Motion carries. The next item is item number 8, the Jacobson Turf Cat with deck.
I'll make the motion.
One bid, one bid on it. Let's read the bid first here. I, John Kent, at 9876 East 410 Road, Strang, Oklahoma, bidding $857 for the Jacobson Turf Cat, purchase date 18/1998. So, item 8, discussion possible action regarding bids received for Jacobson Turf Cat with deck. Is there a motion?
I'll make it.
Motion Shropshire. Second Nance. Discussion. Yeah, I saw a thumbs up from Mr. Bowman there. We'll call for vote.
Smith,
Yes.
Chipwood,
Yes.
Redfield,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Ketchum,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Okay, item D, discussion possible action regarding declaring any items not receiving bids as items to be disposed of as salvage or junk value. Is there a motion?
Make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion Chitwood, second Yolanda Thompson,
Brianna.
I'm sorry, Brianna Brakefield, thank you. Those items are item 2, item 4, item 5, item 6, and item 7. Item 2 is a Canon 3570 printer. Item 4 is a Ransom's Fairway hydraulic reel mower. Item 5 is a 1991 Dodge pickup. Item 6 is a 1988 International Street sweeper. Item 7 is a National 84-inch triplex Vanguard mower. I'd like to invite Mr. Bowman to the microphone to answer any questions about these items. So the motion is to dispose of as salvage or junk value on these items. Mr. Bowman, is that appropriate to go that direction for these items?
Not all of them. I mean, the Canon copy machine is really good. So, I mean, you can't just take it to the junkyard. I mean, I don't know what we do about that, but I would think that surely that's a nice copy machine that came from City Hall out to there, so. But the rest of them, I mean,
Do you have a use for it out there at the golf course, the copy machine?
what's that?
The copy machine, do you have a use for it out there?
A little bit, but it quit working, so I guess we need to get it serviced. But I don't make that many copies anymore like we used to make. We used to send out a lot of flyers and stuff by mail, but we kind of slowed down on that because of the digital marketing.
Sure. I was wondering if maybe Carrie might use it at the library. Do you have a need for a second or more copiers?
I need to know more about it.
Okay.
Is it we can talk later.
Okay. Yeah. I'd rather say, I mean, that's a good copyright, you know, we just don't use it like we thought we were going to when we've got it, so.
Do
Okay.
you have a copy machine at your office that you do use, and this
Yeah, I
is
have a
extra?
small one that I use, and, but I don't make that many copies anymore.
Do you have a contract on it, Dennis?
No, there's no contract.
Okay.
It looks giant. Is it huge?
It's big, that's a big
I don't
copy
have a
machine.
word for it.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
But maybe somebody will, I don't know, I'd hate to just see it go to waste.
Okay.
Or we can. And then the Ransom Fairway mower, that is just salvageable, I mean, that's just junk metal, really, basically. The International Street Sweeper, I mean, I don't know what to do with that thing. We don't use it no more, it's been out there for a long time, but, I mean, I don't know what to do with it other than haul it to the salvage. I mean, it ran and everything, so it hasn't been run for quite a while. The National Triplex, that's just salvage material.
The 1991 Dodge pickup,
That's salvage, yeah.
That's salvage.
It's just an old pickup truck.
so of all of those items, the copier might be something that would have some value.
I would think so. I mean,
Could we donate that? I mean, could we
that'd be better than taking
deem
it
it
to the junk.
surplus
I
and
mean,
then
I'm sure,
donate it to
yeah,
somebody?
Somebody, yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, surely.
If you vote to dispose of it, you can dispose of it any way you want.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
I would love to do that, you know, to some charitable organization that may have a use for it or something.
Okay.
We could find that.
Okay.
It's a good
It does
idea.
us good to hear the evaluation on these things.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Very good. All right, thank you very much. There's a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
Do we need to amend that motion to take that copier out to dispose of it?
No,
as-
no, we can make a note to dispose of it by making a donation.
Whichever way you want to, Brother Kim
Okay.
just made it.
Yeah.
You've just declared it of no value and be disposed Okay. of. You can All right. haul it off, you can do
Do
whatever.
what we need to.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Call for vote?
Shepherd,
Yes.
Redfield,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Petra,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes,
Nance,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Item D, discussion possible action regarding declaring any items, oh, no, we just did that, my bad. Item E, discussion possible action concerning authorization by the city to the Economic Development Trust Authority to proceed with development 173.1 acres more or less of land deeded by Tom Giles to the city generally located north of 480 Road and south of 470 Road and east of Highway 69. Is there a motion?
Make that motion?
I'll second.
Motion Smith, second Chitwood. The reason why this is on the agenda tonight is our action on this item before was that the Economic Development Trust Authority would consider this property as a sports complex. The Economic Development Trust Authority decided to hand that back for consideration that we just word it from the perspective of authority to proceed with development and not really identifying it as a sports complex. So that's the reason why that has come back to council for this consideration.
My question is that I'm confused about this. I think the EDA authority is. I'm confused about the authority because we gave them property, okay? We deeded them over some property, and I'll get into that in just a minute. I don't see anywhere clarification where anything they do has to come back before the council. I'd like to see some plans of what they want to do out there before we give them that authority, because only parts of that is available for economic development in the front part of it. Now, I know when Mr. Giles gave it to the city, there's nothing in the deed. He asked some specific questions, like the ponds be named after his mother-in-law and his mother, okay? and he wanted it to be a park setting, okay? Not economic development. He was very clear of that when Barbara Giles gave it to us, when he gave that. Now, they didn't put it in writing, but that's what they said. So I need some more clarification on what they want to do, and I want to make sure before they go out and say, okay, we're going to develop this into housing, we're going to develop this into retail. All that has to come back to the city for approval and comes back there. But I don't see anything that says that. It's just like and I'm confused that we deeded over the properties for abatement the other day, okay? Last council meeting for their money. Well, in their meeting, they made the statement that the city now will maintain those abated properties. If they own the properties, why should we maintain the abated properties? I'm gonna make a motion to table until we get some clarification from the city attorney. I've got some questions I'd like to sit down with city attorney Larry, clarification on what they can and can't do and what they have to be back, some of the guidelines. I think it needs to be done, and I don't know what it needs, but I think we need some clarification about the processes, where it needs to come back to, the process, what we can prove, what they have to come back to get approval from the city council, and some of the plans and stuff. I'm just not clear in my mind what we can approve and what they can do on their own. So,
They are required to come back for council approval for anything, right?
Yes, anything that,
Or the money spent.
anything that would be proposed to do with that property, they are required to come back to council.
is that in the language?
Let me speak to those questions now, or?
Please do.
Okay, all right. So on the properties that have been deeded to the trust authority, the trust authority now owns those properties, and it's charged under the trust indenture with the management of those properties in the best interest of the city. There was some discussion at the trust authority meeting about, well, we don't have any money.
I understand.
How are we gonna maintain them? And the representation was made at that time, well, we can, the city's been taking care of them, we can take care of them until you can get them disposed of. So, from a legal standpoint, the trust authority now owns those properties. They don't have to get authorization from the city to sell them. They can sell them under their trust indenture. And that money is to be used in the best interest of the city. So that's the answer to that question. Are there any other questions about that in particular?
So basically, the city is gonna clean out, and I understand they have no money, but so, we're gonna clean them, but we'll never recover our cost on the cleanup of the properties, even when they sell them. And I don't know if we should or not, but that's, because it'll benefit us in the long run, but that's my question. If they own the property, should we bill them back? Should it just be a transfer, an accounting transfer saying that, just to check the money to show what we've paid out?
Can be.
Certainly, that's an administrative thing that can be done.
Could we do that? That's some of the questions I have to
Yes.
show, like an inter-office transfer, a debit to credit off backside, what the value of that property, so.
Correct. And also in that regard, the proposed, the budget proposing for 20 and 21 will have some money to fund the Economic Development Trust Authority so that they would be able to cover whatever expenses they would have in perfecting deeds and whatever they would need to do.
Okay. All right.
But I want to make sure everybody's clear that once we give that trust authority something, then they have the authority over it. But the reason they exist is to benefit the city under the trust indenture. So they don't have, if they can find a buyer, they can decide how to sell those properties. They don't have to come back to you and ask for authority to sell them. They can sell them. They have the capacity to do that.
That's just operation money.
And I don't have a problem with that, so you've answered my question on that.
Okay. On this particular item that you're talking about on 173.1 acres, perhaps we want to call it a Scrivener's error or just clarify the wording. It's the discussion of possible action concerning authorization by the city to the Economic Development Trust Authority to proceed with the investigation or planning of development. You're not actually authorizing them to develop that 173 acres. Because that 173 acres is not theirs.
It's ours.
It's the city's. It's deeded to the city. And what you did previously was you said, the council took action to ask the trust authority to investigate the development of that property for a sports complex. At the trust authority meeting, they questioned whether or not portions of that property could be developed commercially, with the remaining portion of it being a sports complex, because it's 173 acres, and it does have highway frontage. And so what they asked was that that matter be brought back to the council with this change made to their previous authorization to investigate development, so that they didn't just have to focus on developing a 173 acre sports complex. They wanted to be able to come back to you with a proposal that might have some commercial parcels in it. And that'll be up to you to approve or not approve, or tell them to go back and do something different.
You know, when the language, I have no problem, because I can tell you that at one time, I met with Orscheln's, okay? I'll tell you who I met with out there. The area when you first go into the dog pound, there's an area right there on that corner of the dog pound. It's on the southwest corner. We turn in right there. There's about 8 acres right there that is developable property right there, and that's not in the floodway. If you go back down the hill there, that's in the floodway. Love's in the that's in the floodway. And so that area is developable right there. But, you know, we talked about it. They wanted so much concession, stuff like, I think they ought to be able to do that for retail possibility right there. But I would suggest that if you do that, then we change the language, what Kim call it Scribner's area or whatever, and change the language and clarify the language, because it's not clear with the way it's written right now in this agenda item. Do we just need to table it and bring it back with a clarification?
I think the intent
I don't have,
was
yeah.
To authorize them for a proposed development, to bring back a proposed development. And I think you're fine if you want to proceed with an amended motion that says proceed
With proposed development.
proposed development,
So add the word proposed after the word with.
or a proposal for development.
Proposal
That'd be
for
better.
development. They would
Proposal
propose-
for development
Yeah.
would be better.
Yeah.
Is this what Mr. Giles wanted this land to be turned into?
He wanted a park setting, and two things is, he wanted to be for kids, youth, and that's where he wanted to be, that's where, and you can talk to him, you can talk to Barbara. Barbara's the one that really pushed for this real hard, and I think she's living, so I know where it is now. But it's ours, bottom line is it's ours, and it's not, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not in the language of there, but it's not in that language. But I think with the proposed development, that way we can review the stuff and see what we can do, because I think it would, for retail attractions, we need something on the north side, and if you can get 7 acres or 8 acres of development right there, and possibly right there, I will tell you right now that at one time, ODOT had promised that possibility of another light along 69 corridor, and we met with them when that was there about possibility of a light there for retail, and so there's, you had to take some changes, extensions, so there's some possibility there, and, and Orscheln's was a nice fit because of the way they do the animals and stuff like that, but it didn't come to fruition, so, anyway, that's where you go. I would, with the amended language, Larry, I think, Mr. Mayor, I think it'd be great to.
Okay, who made those motions?
Smith made the motion, Chip was second.
Okay, Mr. Smith, would you like to amend your motion to include the verbiage after the word with, proposal for?
Yes, I'll amend my second.
And this does have to come back to council and stuff like that.
All right, who seconded that
I
motion?
did.
And
I'll
Chip
amend
would-
my second.
Okay, Thank you.
All right, the motion is amended. Is there any other discussion? Thank you, Mr. Trammell, for your comments. Call for vote?
Breakfield,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Ketchum,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Chipwood,
Yes.
Motion carries. Item F, Discussion, possible action to elect Troy Shropshire to serve on the Personnel Board for the City of Prior Creek, Seat 1, for the remaining unexpired term of Seat 1 to expire at 7:30 p.m. on the first Monday in May in the year 2024. This action is taken to fill Seat 1 of the Personnel Board, which has remained open and unfilled from and after the expiration of the 6-year term, which expired May of 2012. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion Thompson, is there a second?
Second.
Second Smith. Discussion. I've asked pursuant to conversation that has gone around different directions, I've asked Mr. Ritchie to make some clarification.
Thank you, Mayor. I anticipate this taking a little while, okay? Late this afternoon, I received a letter which was sent to the mayor and to the city clerk, as well as copied to me. We asked that a copy of that be given to all of you this evening so that you could look at it. We are going to go through it in its entirety before you guys make a decision on what. I'm going to actually read this letter, and I'm going to stop, and I'm going to address the various objections that were brought up. I think it's an important matter that we all need to take our time and look at. First of all, before I get into it, there are a few things that I want the council to be aware of as we go through the letter. First thing I want you to be aware of is that there are terminations or dismissals that happen for cause. So we have an employee that commits an offense, violates policy, does things that are wrong. That person is being terminated for cause. They did something wrong. There are terminations that occur that are not for cause. There are terminations or dismissals that can occur that are management decisions for a change of personnel or a change of people in various positions. So oftentimes when someone hears that someone is being dismissed, the first thing that comes into your mind is, what did they do wrong? A person doesn't have to do anything wrong to be dismissed. Oklahoma is an employment at will state. City of Pryor is an employment at will employer. So it's important that we view everything through the right lenses so that we see the picture. The second thing I want to address before we get into the letter is there should not be a misunderstanding between what is our city's charter and what is our city's ordinances. I hear those terms thrown around incorrectly a lot. I've seen references to things of recent saying the city's charter says this or the city's charter says that. And I look at it and I say, that's not in the city charter. That's in the ordinances. There's a big difference between the city's charter and the city's ordinances. The city's charter is the equivalent of our Constitution. It's the organic law of the city. Ordinances which conflict with the charter, if we were talking about constitutional law, we would say that's unconstitutional. Okay? So it's really important to understand the difference between our city charter and our city ordinances and realize what you're looking at when you look at those two things and their legal significance. So under our city's charter of the city, in section 36, it indicates the powers of the mayor. And one of those powers, which is specified in section 36, is section F, paragraph F, which indicates that the mayor shall have the power to dismiss any officer or employee appointed by him whenever in his judgment the interest of the city services so requires, except as hereinafter provided. And we get into things like utility board and various things. Now, that doesn't say for cause. It indicates whenever in his judgment the interest of the city services so requires. So let's go through this letter for a moment with those things in mind. It says, Dear Mayor Lees and Madam Clerk, I've reviewed the agenda for tonight's city council meeting. This is from Cassandra Coates of the law firm of Lee and Coates. I've reviewed the agenda for tonight's city council meeting and am writing to object to Mayor Lee's proposal for the city council to elect 3 current members of the city council to the personnel board. See City Council meeting agenda for July 7, 2020, Mayor's Report, paragraph 4F through H. Said proposal is in direct conflict with the city code and the city's established precedent of electing citizens, not city council members, to the personnel board. So let me pause briefly there. The personnel board is not mentioned in the city's charter at all. The personnel board arises under our ordinances. Ordinance 1-6-5, which was passed in 1998, is what created the personnel board. And the personnel board provisions are the following. A, created, term. There is hereby established a personnel board as authorized by the statutes of the state, consisting of 3 persons elected by the city council for staggered 6-year terms. The city council shall elect the 3 original members so that the term of 1 member will expire in each succeeding even-numbered year. The terms of their successors shall be for 6 years, beginning at 7:30 p.m. on the first Monday in May in every even-numbered year. Members shall serve until their successors are elected and qualified. The City Council, by a vote of a majority of its members after adequate opportunity for a public hearing, may remove a member for the good of the service and may fill the vacancy for the unexpired term. B, officers. Meetings. At the time prescribed for the beginning of the term of a newly elected member or as soon thereafter as practicable, the members of the Personnel Board shall elect a chairman and a vice chairman and a secretary. The secretary need not be a member of the board. The board shall determine the time and place of its regular meetings, and the chairman or 2 members may call special meetings of the board. C, duties. The Personnel Board shall hold a public hearing on appeal of any layoff, suspension, demotion, or removal of an officer or an employee who has completed a probationary period of 6 months or given adequate opportunity thereof as soon as practicable after an appeal has been filed. D, report findings and recommendation. The Personnel Board shall report in writing its findings and recommendations to the mayor, where the appellant is a subordinate of the mayor, or to the respective authority having power of removal. Why I went there first was because this letter indicates that the proposal is in direct conflict with the city code. The appointment of the Personnel Board does not have any specification of qualifications or persons that are eligible to serve on the Personnel Board. Therefore, any person could be appointed to the Personnel Board. It does not conflict with the ordinance. They next refer to precedent of electing citizens. It is true that historically, the last board that was, that ever served was citizens. But that precedent is not something that has to be followed. It's simply what had been done previously. And there's nothing that restricts the council from electing members from the council to serve on the personnel board. I'm going to continue now with the second paragraph of the letter. The personnel board, the board, is governed by the City Code Section 1-6-5, which expressly requires the City Council to elect 3 members to the board. Section 1-6-5 further provides, with regard to the board, the City Council may, by a vote of a majority of its members, after adequate opportunity for a public hearing, may remove a member for the good of the service and may fill the vacancy for the unexpired term. The fact that the City Council oversees and can remove members of the board demonstrates that the City Council and the board are 2 separate and distinct entities with independent functions. The City Council is vested with authority to determine the good of the service. When voting to remove members from the board, it would defy reason to contend the board can or should include members who vote on their own removal. The standard imposed on the City Council in overseeing the board, the good of the service, must be applied impartially and without favor or obvious bias toward the members of the board. A majority of the members of the City Council is required to remove a member from the board and to fill the vacancy. As there are 8 members of the City Council, the mayor's proposal would ensure that at least 3 votes are always favorable to the members of the board, regardless of the good of the service. Such a structure is not only illogical, but would be unprecedented by the history of the board. If I can summarize what that paragraph is saying, it's saying that if the council were to appoint 3 members of the council to serve on the personnel board, and if the council has the ability to remove a member of the personnel board from the personnel board, then that can't be done. Well, that's not true, because in trusts, in boards, in about any kind of a body that exists, members of the body can remove another member of the body when it's required. So if you have a board of directors of a bank that's comprised of 8 members, one of those members can be removed by an action of the board to do so. So that doesn't carry weight legally. The second part of the paragraph shifts a little bit, and it makes the argument that since there are only 8 council members, then if the council were to try to remove one of the members of the personnel board, then that person would always have themselves and 2 others voting to keep that person on the board. So what it's saying is that those 3 people that are on that board would always act together to preserve themselves as being on the board. And I don't think that you can make that leap. It's a very unusual thing for a person to have to be removed from a body. And the only time that this could really come into play, where you would have 3 wanting to stay, would be when you were trying to remove all 3 members of the personnel board at the same time. So I don't find that to be a very sound argument. The next paragraph says, the unreasonableness of the mayor's proposal is further demonstrated by practical application of Article 3, Section 33 of the city charter and Section 1-6-5C of the city code. Article 3, Section 33 of the city charter requires a vote of the majority of the city council to remove an officer for cause. Section 1-6-5C of the city code provides the personnel board shall hold a public hearing on the appeal of any layoff, suspension, demotion, or removal of an officer or employee. This means the city council must have a majority vote to remove an officer for cause, and then that officer has the right to appeal the city council's decision to the board. Again, it defies logic to contend the board was meant to consist of the same city council members whose decisions the board was established to review. Here's where we have to really understand what the appeals board does in order to understand why this doesn't make sense. The personnel board that's created under our code and not our charter, under 1-6-5, indicates, as I read earlier, how it's created, the officers and the meetings, the duties, and then what it actually does. Paragraph D. Let me read C and D together, so it makes more sense. C is the duties. The personnel board shall hold a public hearing on the appeal of any layoff, suspension, demotion, or removal of an officer or employee who has completed a probationary period of 6 months or given adequate opportunity therefore as soon as practical after the appeal has been filed. D, report findings and recommendations. The personnel board shall report in writing its findings and its recommendations to the mayor, where the appellant is a subordinate of the mayor, or to the respective authority having power of removal. The personnel board cannot reverse the decision to let someone go. The personnel board makes a report after a public hearing of its findings and its recommendations. So when a person has an appeal in front of the personnel board, it's a political check. It slows the process. It allows the person to have a public forum to express why they believe that they should not be discharged or replaced. And it allows the public to be informed of that. And it provides for the personnel board to make written findings and a recommendation. That recommendation is not a mandate. It's not an appeal. So when I try a case over here in district court and it gets appealed, when it goes to the appellate court can say, trial court, you were wrong. We're sending it back and you fix the problem that you created when you made the bad decision. A recommendation is not a reversal, but a recommendation comes from the personnel board back to the mayor or the other person, respective authority having power of removal, for them to reconsider what they have done and decide whether they're going to stand by their decision or not stand by their decision.
Does that say shall or may?
It says, report findings and recommendations. The personnel board shall report in writing its findings and recommendations. So now, if we come back to this argument about if someone gets terminated for cause by the council, so that's a different matter. If somebody gets terminated for cause by the council, they can then appeal that to the Personnel Board. The Personnel Board, which under this proposal would be made up of 3 members of the council who'd already voted on the cause issue. But understand the Personnel Board can't reverse the decision of the council. It can only make findings and recommendations. Then the ball's back in the council's court to say, you know what, I think we decided correctly the first time and we're gonna stand by our guns. Or, you know what the Personnel Board has said makes some sense, we're gonna reconsider it, we're gonna do something different. But they can't reverse. So having the same people on the Personnel Board, having 3 members of the council on the Personnel Board, does not frustrate an appeal process because it has no power to reverse. The next paragraph says, further, the fact that the proposed board members are listed under the mayor's report on the agenda implies that they've been selected and nominated by the mayor. Again, this proposed course of action defies the city's code's requirement that the city council shall elect the board members. The city council's exclusive authority to elect members of the board inherently includes the exclusive authority to select, nominate, discuss, and vote on the members of the board. Nowhere does the city code include the mayor in any part of said election. Appointments, elections which are confirmed or elected by the council is the process here. The ordinance, and only this one ordinance talks about the Personnel Board. The ordinance doesn't prescribe any kind of procedure to be followed. We've had other ordinances in the past which have had that same type of nominated by the mayor, confirmed or elected by the council. So this follows that same type of format. It doesn't say that they shall be nominated by the mayor. It doesn't say that they can't be nominated by the mayor. It doesn't say how they're to be nominated. So it's not violating the ordinance for the mayor to propose names. Certainly, it would be proper to do so. And the council has the full ability to elect or not elect who the mayor has nominated. The next paragraph says, additionally, the fact that the Personnel Board exists to hold a public hearing on the appeal of any layoff, suspension, demotion, or removal of an officer or employee indicates that such layoff, suspension, demotion, or removal must be for cause. I'm going to pause there because that's not what our charter says. We don't have a charter provision anywhere that says that someone can only be removed from employment with the city for cause. We don't have an ordinance anywhere that guarantees a person that once they're hired for life unless they do something wrong. We don't have such an ordinance. We don't have such a charter provision. Our charter and our ordinances are all to the effect of employment at will. Hence, Section 36, which gives the mayor the power to dismiss any officer or employee appointed by him whenever in his judgment the interest of the city services so requires. That paragraph continues to say, to contend otherwise, or to take the position that a person can't be removed except for cause. It says to contend otherwise would mean that the Personnel Board has no standard by which to hold hearings and decide appeals. If no cause were required to remove officers and employees, then there would be no reason to have an appellate process or a Personnel Board at all. Accordingly, prior to the scheduling of any public hearings on the removal of Rachel Sordahl from her position as director of Prior Creeks Recreational Center, the city must provide written verification of all cause the city had to remove Ms. Sordahl and all information supporting said cause. As the city must participate in a public hearing on Ms. Sordahl's appeal, such hearing would be a sham process if the city were allowed to blindside Ms. Sordahl at the hearing with all information they want to present to support their decision to remove her. This would not allow Ms. Sordahl to adequately prepare for the hearing, and it would not allow the Personnel Board to base its decision on full and fair disclosure of all relevant testimony and evidence from both sides. At the root of the fallacy with that position is the fact that the Personnel Board does not have the power to say whether a termination will stand or it won't stand. They don't have the power to reverse it. The purpose that it serves is as a political check on the exercise of decisions to let someone go or to do layoffs or suspensions. It serves as a check politically so that the person is afforded a public forum to express why they believe that they're being treated wrongly. The basis of that whole argument is that the city can't remove anybody from employment except for cause, which is contrary to our charter. The last paragraph says, finally, as if the mayor's nomination of city council members to serve on the board did not appear improper enough, one of said city council members proposed by the mayor is believed to currently work with the city attorney Kim Ritchie at the office of Ritchie, Rock, McBride, and Atwood in Pryor Creek. While I personally know said city council member and I have nothing but respect and admiration for her, it would be clear conflict of interest for any coworker of the city attorney to sit on the board which hears and decides cases in which the city attorney represents a party. Ms. Brianna Brakefield has recently gone to work at my law firm, and this is what they're addressing in that paragraph. Now, there's a couple of things that we need to understand about that. Number one, if I thought it were a conflict of interest, I would have already said we can't do that. Number two, if Brianna thought it was a conflict of interest, she would have said we can't do that. My role as city attorney is not to prosecute an employee. That is not what I'm here to do. If this was a proposed termination for cause, that's still not that's not my role as city attorney. But this is not a dismissal for cause. It's a management decision. My role as a city attorney is not to be on the mayor's side, and I think Jimmy will attest that I'm not on the mayor's side sometimes. My role as a city attorney is to represent the city, which is an organization representative of the citizens of the city. And so my role in this process is to assure that we follow the ordinances and the charter of the city in the administration of the decisions that are made by the decision makers. So when one of you council members asks me, Kim, do I have a conflict of interest in this particular vote? My job isn't to represent you, and my job isn't to represent anything other than the proper administration of the codes and the ordinances and the applicable law. I don't make decisions of who to hire and fire, and I don't have to evaluate why a decision is being made. That's not what I do as a city attorney. You make your own decisions. It's none of my business why you make your decision. Whether you follow the law and the ordinances, that's my job, is to make sure that occurs. So, in this particular instance, addressed in this letter, of a decision having been made by management to release an employee, my job is to look at the ordinances and to look at the charter and say, this is the process that you're to follow. This is when you're stepping out of bounds, and this is when you're in bounds. And so that doesn't present a conflict of interest where I'm representing the city against anyone. Are there questions? I know that's a lot.
Can this be continued?
Go ahead, speak up, Dennis.
You hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I see what you're saying about the personnel board on the nominations. I would say it was poorly written. That it didn't say who could nominate. All it said was that the city council shall elect. It never really said who would nominate anything. And it doesn't mention the mayor. So I see your point on that, although it does say city council like 3 times in that section. So but I have a question, though. I appreciate what you're saying about the charter versus the ordinances, Mr. Ritchie, but I have a question for you. Would you think that it's wise to have council sit on this board?
Mr. Nance, you're getting into another one of those areas that I was just talking about, and that is, I look at what is legal and what is not legal and what is proper under the ordinances and the charter to decide whether it's wise or it's not wise are the council members' decisions.
Okay, and I appreciate the answer. So my next question is, and I understand that you're talking about you're doing your best of what's legal, and I understand that. And I know one thing that's hard to do with anything legal is to ever prove intent. That's like impossible to do. But I'll go ahead and ask the question anyways. Do you think from this ordinance, it was this ordinance's intention to have city council on this? Or do you think its intent was to have just somebody else on this board?
There's nothing about the ordinance itself that would affirmatively indicate one way or the other. And that's where I think that that they brought up the fact that prior that it had been members or people that were not members of the city council.
Okay.
Would that be a proper and good mechanism? I mean, sure.
Sure.
Would it be proper and a good mechanism to have people currently serving on the council? Sure. I mean, I don't see any problem with that from the way that it's designed to function. And one of the reasons that I feel that way is that that personnel board does not have the power to reverse a decision to let somebody go. It's simply a recommending hearing body where you have the public forum for a hearing, and then they can make a recommendation, but they don't have the power to override a decision that's been made by the employer.
Right, and I've read this a bunch of times as well, and I had that in D where I read the same thing, where it says, report in writing your findings and recommendations to the mayor, which tells me the mayor can say, well, I'll take that under advisement, and then he can make his decision. I see that.
The mayor or the other body. I mean, it's not just the mayor, but if you read that ordinance,
Correct.
the respective
Right.
authority having the power to remove, so.
Right, okay.
Well, I'd like to say something. Just because we can do something, don't necessarily mean we should do it. Doesn't necessarily mean it's appropriate to do it, even though you can do it. My belief is, no council member has a business being on this board. It should be an independent third party. And if the vote goes yes, put them on there, then my belief is, then they, when it comes up to the council, those three, whoever they may be, should have to abstain from voting in the council. An example I give is when we had a recent Supreme Court for Murphy, and Judge Gorsuch had to abstain because he made the ruling at the lower court, at the 10th Circuit, and therefore he could not rule again. And I think we need to follow that logic right there. To me, it should be third party, not councilman.
I want to address something because that's been a question that, your statement brings up a question that I've been asked. And that question has been, okay, you have an appeal, then what happens? It doesn't come back to the council. This council will not vote on this issue. The council doesn't vote to terminate somebody. Can, under a proceeding for cause, if we had to remove someone for cause, then it can be carried out and that entered on the roll. But section 33F, which we've, I don't want to wear you out with it, but the mayor shall have the power to dismiss any officer or employee appointed by him whenever in his judgment the interest of the city services so requires. So let's say that we have an employee who the mayor discharges, and they file an appeal, and they want their hearing in front of the personnel board. Regardless of what the personnel board does, it doesn't come back to the council.
What if the council had a time for cause that they voted on dismissing an employee, and then they appeal it? What personnel board do you go before then?
The one that we would have appointed, which would be, if we follow this format, and that's one of the arguments I made in this letter that I addressed earlier, but if you appoint 3 members of the council to sit on the personnel board and the council engaged in that where they actually did
Dismiss for cause.
dismiss for cause by taking a vote, then that appeal would go to the personnel board, which 3 people who had been sitting on the council would be the appeals board. They'd issue their findings and their recommendations to the council, but it doesn't come back to the council unless the council decides to take it back. Because they can't
Situation.
reverse that decision. Except if they want, the council could reverse its decision, but the appeals board, the personnel board, can't overrule the council and say, no.
Would it be a conflict of interest if you voted during the council vote and then it went to an appeal before that?
Wouldn't be a conflict of interest. Wouldn't be a legal conflict of interest, no.
I'm sorry, what's the last thing you said?
No, it would not.
Oh, can you
Is it
maybe
the right
clear up?
thing to do? Is it the best
All right.
structure to have? I mean, that's what you were asking, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's your call.
to me, it don't look right.
It's
Maybe
the
you could
council's
clear up,
call. how you wanna handle it.
So in defense, in defense of the decision, trying to get this thing taken care of expediently, but also our city council is elected by the citizens to represent the citizens, to do the citizens' bidding. We have a budget personnel committee. If I'm a citizen, and maybe I think about it backwards, I don't know, John, but if I'm a citizen, I want somebody who would be on that personnel board that would be knowledgeable, that would have information about the city departments, because they participate in that function. It gives them the ability to have information, to understand information, to have already considered information. Does that serve the citizens in the best way? So that was my thoughts. So I don't have any political leanings or political stock here. I want to do the right thing, and if this budget personnel committee, who already deal with personnel things of the city, if they are more qualified to serve the citizens and to serve the city in that function, then I would want them to be able to do that. Doesn't matter who they are, but if they're serving on that budget personnel committee. So that's my thinking. That's the reason why I went that direction, and it made sense to me. So there you go.
Can I make a comment?
Does anybody have any more questions for me, or shall I sit down?
When you were talking about it said officer or employee, are you talking about officers of a board, or are you talking about like police officers or somebody that's a union employee versus officers of a board like, O&I or BNP or whatever?
The unions are all a different deal because we negotiate contracts with unions each year which have provisions in it for discipline and all that type of thing. Plus, we have a statutory mechanism specifically for firemen, police officers.
So officers are talking about officers of an assigned board or elected board?
Officers and employees of the city. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I have another question. Can Mr. Richard hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. It says budget and personnel committee. So was this committee abolished or just went away and now it's coming back? How does that work?
Okay.
Because that's what we're voting on tonight.
Well, that
Did
brings
it
up
go
another
away, or was
point.
it all on the personnel board because they were on the budget committee? How does that work?
So that brings up another point that I've seen kind of confused. There are committees and there are boards. So the Budget Personnel Committee is advisory to the City Council. We form these committees of smaller groups of people, street committee, so forth, so that that smaller group of people can have the time and we don't have to have huge public meetings to devote to working with those departments and then bring recommendations from those committees to the full council after it's been studied in a committee. So we have the Budget Personnel Committee, which obviously deals with budgetary items, but then also deals with personnel items like policies and procedures and all of those types of things, which then makes recommendations to the council for the approval of actions affecting those different departments. So the people that have been nominated by the mayor to serve on the personnel board, which the only function of the personnel board is to hear these public hearings and make these written recommendations. The nomination that the mayor has made on that is to have the members of the personnel committee serve as the personnel board. Did I answer your question, Councilman?
No, because a little bit. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be so, no, I didn't mean that, but I mean, I asked, was there a board and then it went away and then it became a committee, or now
I'm
it's
sorry.
starting to, how's that process work?
I'm sorry. There was a personnel board. I don't know
Yeah.
how many years it existed. I guess the ordinance was enacted in 1998.
Yeah, and it says some of the terms went away in 2012, different numbers, 2010, something like that.
Well, you know, I did the math on that. In 2012, no, you got to go backwards. So
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
there was somebody whose term expired in 2008. I don't remember who that was.
Right.
Okay, so that means that that person was appointed in 2002. That was the first one to go off of the board. So that person was appointed in '02, the term expired in '08, and that seat was never filled. So that tells
Okay.
me, you know, it's required that there be 3 members. So what that tells me
Right.
is that from at least 2008 forward, we have not had anybody appointed to that personnel board.
Yeah.
So the board was still specified under the ordinances, but for whatever reason, those seats had just never been refilled since that date.
Okay.
We can blame Jimmy for that.
I'm not,
But there was never any formal action,
no comment.
Councilman, there was never any formal action to dismantle that board or to do away with the ordinance. Okay?
I have
So, silently in the night.
I'm sorry?
So it just went away silently in the night?
There was just no one
That's-
reappointed to it.
That's the best answer that I can give you.
Okay. I didn't know. I wasn't here. So.
Yeah, I wasn't either.
Mr. Mayor, earlier you talked about being confident that the people voted for the council members, the people on that, when 2 of the 3 are your appointments. So not actually chosen yet by the people. Just want to make a correction there. That's why I'm talking about that we should avoid any appearance. There may not be any improprieties, but at least should even shun the appearance thereof. What I'm getting at.
Understand.
Any further questions from me? You had one, didn't you?
I just have a comment, okay?
Sit down.
Okay, I'll have a comment. Sitting in the seat that where the current mayor sits, okay? We're a strong mayor, charter form of government, okay? The mayor sees a lot of things in meetings, sees a lot of things, public reaction, things like that, that you don't have the ability to see, okay? Or do, because he's interacting with everybody in different ways. He's not always at everything, but he's watching and observing, okay? And he's elected by the people to do what's in the best, the good of the city, for the good of the city, okay? That's what he's elected to do. And when he's elected to do that, you've got to have confidence in him that that's what they're doing. I have all the confidence in the world that Larry on the good is doing what he has for the good of the city. Do I always agree with him? No. Did I always agree with Kim? Did Kim always agree with me? No. But that's what the mayor's elected for, and we're a strong mayor, charter form of government, okay? And yes, and I'm not gonna get into personnel board and stuff like that, but that's the way, that's what it is, and he sees some things, and if he thinks for the good of the city, with or without cause, that's what he does. And I respect that decision and that position, because I've sat there before, and it's not easy. That's all I have.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like the main purpose of this entire process is to basically give a public forum for both sides to get the information out. Regardless of the recommendation that the personnel board makes, it's still up to the mayor to make those decisions.
Yes. So, okay.
Are there any other questions, any other
Sorry,
comments?
I could not hear Brianna, I'm sorry.
Say again, Dennis?
I'm sorry, I could not hear, Brianna.
I'm just saying that it seems like the main purpose of a personnel board, this type of hearing, is to give both sides an opportunity to speak on a public forum, the information, evidence, and their side of what's happened, regardless of the recommendation that's made.
Okay.
Any other comments? We have a motion and we have a second, and we also had explanation. Call for vote?
Trammell,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Ketchum,
No.
Shropshire,
Abstain?
Nance,
Mr. Nance?
I said no, sorry. No.
Smith,
Yes.
Chitwood,
No.
Brightfield,
Yes.
Well, you can't vote for yourself, so you're in that situation.
So I'm in that position again to break a tie. I'll vote yes. Item G, discussion possible action to elect Yolanda Thompson to serve on the Personnel Board for the City of Prior Creek, Seat 2, for the remaining unexpired term of Seat 2 to expire at 7:30 PM on the first Monday in May in the year 2026. This action is being taken to fill Seat 2 of the Personnel Board, which has remained open and unfilled from and after the expiration of the 6-year term, which expired May of 2008. Is there a motion?
Yes.
I'll make the motion.
Motion, Trammell, second Nance.
I have a question. There's no law or no ordinance that all says that you have to abstain, is there, that you're aware of? And I know it's proper.
Not
maybe-
that I'm aware of.
That you're aware of, me and myself, that you need to, okay, I just want to make that clarification. There's not-
Sorry about that. thought
I
it
understand,
was.
there's not. There's not to my knowledge, and I don't know if I'll ask the city attorney, yes, okay.
Thank you, Mayor Trammell. Or thank you, Jimmy Trammell. Is there discussion? Item G?
I still have the same objection for the last one, nothing personal, so don't take it personal.
Understand. Thank you, council. Call for vote?
Thompson,
Yes.
Ketchum,
No.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
No.
Smith,
Yes.
Chitwood,
No.
Brightfield,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Motion carries. Item H, discussion possible action to elect Brianna Brakefield to serve on Personnel Board for the City of Prior Creek, Seat 3, for the remaining unexpired term of Seat 3 to expire at 7:30 PM on the first Monday in May in the year 2022. This action be taken to fill Seat 3 of the Personnel Board, which has remained open and unfilled from and after the expiration of the 6th term, which expired May 2010. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second?
Motion Thompson, second Shropshire. Discussion?
Same objection, same reason.
Thank you, council. Call for vote?
Ketchum,
No.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
No.
Smith,
Yes.
Chitwood,
No.
Brightfield,
Abstain.
Trammell,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Are we tied?
Yep.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Number 5, city attorneys. Before city attorney's report, we've been meeting for an hour and 40 minutes. I would entertain a 5-minute recess. Understand that our discussion needs to remain at the council table, so 5-minute recess. Yes.
I've been corrected by one of my brothers in blue, and I'd like to correct a statement I made earlier, if I may.
Yes, sir. Floor is
I'd
yours.
like to apologize to Councilwoman Brianna. The last go-round, she was unopposed, so therefore the people spoke. She was not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That thing, you know.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That was my impersonation of somebody.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Yes, sir.
Council Ketcher. Item A, under city attorney's report, public hearing on alleged public nuisances. Mr. Ritchie.
Do we need to go into public hearing?
We need to have a motion to go into public hearing. Motion Trammell, is there a second?
Got it?
Shropshire. Call for vote?
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yeah.
Smith,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Brightfield,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Ketcher.
Yes.
Thank you, Council Trammell. Proceed, Mr. Ritchie.
First item is a mowing violation. Property owner Matt Miller, Mayor Roach Edition, Block 3, lots 11 and 12. Matt Miller present.
Matt Miller?
In default. Next item is mowing violation, Julian Campbell, Mayor Roach Edition, Block 3, Lot 10. Julian Campbell present.
Julian Campbell?
Next item is mowing violation, property owner Michael Daniel Vernon, Mayor Roach Edition, Block 3, Lot 9. Michael Vernon.
Michael Vernon?
3 owners are in default. We come out of public hearing.
Motion to,
So moved.
sir?
So moved.
So moved. Motion to come out of public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Ketcher. Call for vote?
Nance, Nance,
Yeah.
Smith,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Brightfield,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Ketcher,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Item D would be, finding of a high weed grass mowing violation regarding Matt Miller, Mayor Roach Edition, Block 3, lots 11 and 12.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion Chitwood,
Second.
second Trammell. Call for vote?
Declare it a public nuisance, that property.
Declare public nuisance.
High weed grass
High weed.
trees, or trash.
who made the second, sorry?
I did.
Okay. Smith,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Brightfield,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Ketcher,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yeah.
Item C, public nuisance, high weeds, grass, trash regarding Julian Campbell, Mayor Roach Edition, Block 3, Lot 10.
I'll make the motion.
Motion Shropshire,
Second.
second Chitwood. Call for vote?
Chitwood,
Yes.
Brightfield,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Ketcher,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yeah.
Smith,
Yes.
Item D, public nuisance, high weeds, grass, trash, violation, Michael Daniel Vernon, Mayor Roach Edition, Block 3, Lot 9.
Motion? Trammell,
Second.
Shropshire, second. Call for vote?
Brightfield,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Ketcher,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Chipwood,
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Ritchie. Item E, discussion and possible action on consent agenda. A, approval of minutes from the June 16, 2020 council meeting. B, approval payroll purchase orders through July 10, 2020. C, approval claims for purchase orders through July 7, 2020. D, acknowledge receipt of deficient purchase orders. E, discussion and possible action regarding removing from the table item 5P from the June 16, 2020 council agenda. Item F, discussion and possible action regarding contract renewal with Retail Attractions for fiscal year 2020-2021 in the amount of $4,000 per month for 12 months from the General Outside Services account 02-201-5075. Excuse me. Item G, discussion and possible action regarding rehire of Darnell Jerome Hopkins as Assistant Director of the Pryor Creek Recreation Center effective July 8, 2020, as recommended by the Recreation Center Board at Range E, Step 2, annual wage $38,052. Item H, discussion and possible action regarding appointment of Ivory Sheeran to seat number 3 of the Library Board, term ending June 30, 2023. Item I, discussion and possible action regarding reappointment of Marty Winger to seat 5 of the Library Board, term ending June 30, 2023. Item J, discussion and possible action regarding accepting the bid from Paddock Enterprises Incorporated in the amount of $74,297 as the excuse me, as the only bid received for the Recreation Center Pool Update Project from Aquatic Repair and Maintenance Account 848465091. Item K, discussion and possible action regarding an expenditure in the amount of $21,225.92 to Motorola Solutions Incorporated for upgrade to 800 MHz radio system from the Police Department, $20,180.92 for the repeater, $1,045 for the antenna system. This is state contract pricing. These two items were previously approved by council at the June 16, 2020 meeting to be paid to Muskogee Communications, should have been to Motorola Solutions. Total approved price was $39,583.91. Remaining balance for additional equipment still to be paid to Muskogee Communications from account 02-215-5091. Item L, discussion possible action to authorize the animal shelter to seek quotes for the replacement and repair of metal walls and trim at the Rocking G Animal Shelter. Metal has deteriorated due to sanitation and moisture damage. To be paid from Capital Outlay Properties account 444455419. Item M, discussion possible action regarding bids received for demolition of property 203 North Adair and accepting low bid of $7,200 from Wade's Wrecker Service from account excuse me, account number 464655450. Other bid received, $12,000 from ProCare Lawn and Landscape. Item N, discussion possible action regarding bids received for abatement property at 54 Pine and accepting low bid of $1,000 from Pest Off Exterminators from account number 464655450. Other bids received, ProCare Lawn Landscape, $2,500, and Wade's Wrecker Service, $2,800. Item O, discussion possible action regarding approval of the RFP from Infrastructure Solutions Group, LLC, and naming Steve Powell as the city engineer for the city of Pryor Creek for fiscal year 2020-2021. These are the items on the consent agenda. Are there items you wish to remove?
A.
Item A.
E, F, L, and O.
E, F.
No, it's A, yeah, E, F, L, and O.
Yes, E, F, L, and O. Are there others?
G,
Item G.
golf.
Are there others? Then I would entertain a motion to approve all of the items that have not been removed.
Make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion Smith, who seconded?
I'll second.
Second, Breakfield. Discussion? Call for vote?
Trammell,
Making sure. So we've removed E, F, G,
We have,
L, no?
we have removed A, E, F, G, L, and O.
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Petra,
Yes?
Shropshire,
Yeah.
Nance,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Chipwood,
Yes.
Brightfield,
Yes.
Item A, approval of minutes from June 16, 2020, council meeting. Is there a motion?
I'll make it.
I'll second.
Motion Chitwood, second Thompson. Discussion? Was it Thompson that time?
Yes.
Thank you. Call for vote?
Thompson,
Yes.
Petra,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Smith,
Abstain.
Chipwood,
Abstain.
Brightfield,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Motion carries. Item E, discussion possible action regarding removing from the table item 5P of the June 16, 2020 council agenda. Is there a motion?
I make that motion.
Motion Trammell,
I'll second.
second Breakfield. Call for vote?
Petra,
Wait a minute.
Gotta discuss it.
Let's discuss
Oh,
this first.
discussion? Yes. This was put on the, this was, actually, item F was tabled. Item F on tonight's agenda was tabled at last meeting to be considered this meeting. So that's the reason why it's on there, to bring off the table, and then also to discuss the next item. So we're, this is action that was initiated from our last meeting.
Is there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Nance?
Haynes there, Mr. Ricky Haynes?
Oh, no, he is not here. He is not here at this meeting.
But
Good.
we're not talking about him at this point in time, we're just removing this item from the
Yeah,
table.
we're just removing this item from the table. There's been a motion to remove from the table. And we are having discussion about removing it from the table.
And he's not
Okay.
here. He was, he called out sick.
Well, hang on, but all we're
That's on
doing
the
is,
next
you
one.
can't, that's the next,
Okay.
that's the next
Okay.
item. All we're doing is,
That's-
All right.
Yeah,
Roger that.
we're just removing this from,
I don't wanna jump in.
Drive on, drive on.
You got it.
Huh?
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can table again if we have to. Is that what we're saying?
yes, we can.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, we can. But this is a motion to remove from the table.
Gotcha.
Call for vote.
Petra,
No.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
No.
Smith,
No.
Chipwood,
No.
Brightfield,
No.
Okay.
Trammell,
Yes.
Thompson,
No.
6-0.
Okay, the motion was no to remove from the table. Item G, discussion possible action no,
You
that's.
can't do that now.
Item F. We have to, because it is on the agenda and it's been
Yeah,
removed.
no action on
Yeah, no
that,
action.
since it's still on the table.
So item G, item F, there can be a motion for no action on item F. Discussion possible action regarding contract renewal with retail attractions for fiscal year 2020, 2021 in the amount of $4,000 per month for 12 months from General Outside Services Account 02-201-5075. Is there a motion for no action?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion Breakfield, second Smith. Call for vote.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Chipwood,
Yes.
Brightfield,
Yes.
Trammell,
No.
Thompson,
Yes.
Yes.
Item G, discussion possible action regarding rehire Darnell Jerome Hopkins as Assistant Director of the Pryor Creek Recreation Center effective July 8, 2020, as recommended by the Recreation Center Board at range E, Step 2, annual wage $38,052. Is there a motion?
I got it.
I'll
Sec-
second.
Yolanda.
Motion,
Thompson.
motion Shropshire, second Thompson. Discussion?
Was there any other applicants?
No, there were not.
And he was re-interviewed?
Yes,
And it was posted.
it was posted,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Paul.
yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mr. Nance?
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Any other discussion?
And this
Oh.
was agreed by the board, right?
Yes,
Okay.
by the Rec Center Board, recommended by the Rec Center Board, yes. Call for vote?
Nance,
Yeah.
Smith,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Redfield,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Ketcher,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Motion carries. Item L, discussion possible action to authorize the animal shelter to seek quotes on the replacement and repair of metal walls and trim at the Rock and G Animal Shelter. Metal is deteriorated due to sanitation and moisture damage, to be paid from capital outlay properties account 444455419. Is there a motion?
Make that motion.
Second.
Motion Chitwood, second Smith. Discussion.
Yeah, I have a question. The way it reads, I think, and James done a good job providing us this information. The way it reads to me is to seek quotes on the replacement. Then we've also saying, you can go ahead and get the material and charge it to that account, you know? If the quotes are at over 2,500, I would think that it needed to be come back to the city council for approval, if you want to, or get bids. I don't think that, you know, that's my concern is the 2,500. If it's under 2,500, that's a good place for the count, but you and Larry can approve, the mayor can approve that, but it's gonna be more than 2,500 by looking at the bid. So I'd rather just see us seek quotes, and then once we get the cost, at that point in time, then you approve the low bid or whatever it is, and then you charge it to whatever account it is. I'd
So
like,
this was merely an effort to
yeah,
identify the account that it would be,
And I understand that.
expenditure would be taken from.
and I respect that 100%. That's why
It's gonna be, I mean,
It's gonna be rather
I can't get anybody to bid it, I've tried, I think if the Budget and Personnel Committee remembers, we brought this Budget and Personnel, probably, I would say, 6 months ago, thinking that we actually had somebody that was doing community service that would do it, but that didn't pan out.
Yeah.
So at this point, we're trying to get the mayor's office to have them, get bids for us, because we can't find anybody else to get it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna cost you $20,000 or more to do this.
It's gonna be a large project.
It's a large project, so I'd rather seek quotes, or, you know, the next question I have, do we need to seek specifications for this because of the thing, Mr. Ritchie, or you just think we just for the repair?
I mean, we're just seeking quotes, and the designation of the account, I don't think has any significance on.
Okay. Why were you going for, excuse me, a request for proposal? Do you think there's underlying damage that you can't see that we know, that you don't want to just go straight for a quote?
Well,
You know there will be.
yeah,
Well, I
a lot
know,
of this is,
but-
I mean, there's some places there's holes.
Right.
You know, I need somebody to come in, I can't get anybody to bid it, I've tried. We had one person come up that never came back with an estimate. So this is just trying to go through the process to let the city clerk's office actually put it out there, so.
And I'm satisfied to deal with it, just think you're gonna bring quotes back. So
Yes, sir, yeah, there was no intent of.
I've got no problem with it. Okay.
Okay.
Just want clarification.
So,
Yeah.
Very good. Other discussion?
do we need to amend it to say quote from RFP from request for proposal?
did anybody make a motion?
I did.
Yes, there was motion and second. So,
I don't think so. I think quotes is satisfactory, because if it goes over 50,000, then we'll have to do something else, or, let's hope it doesn't.
yeah.
You know,
Okay, so,
So this motion is to seek quotes.
see quotes and gives
Yeah.
our assistant chief the opportunity to do his job and go seek some quotes to get this thing
let's
fixed.
see, regarding approval, oh, I'm sorry, it's approval of the RFP.
Right, we're on L. Yeah, yeah, we're on,
Oh,
yeah, we're on
okay,
L.
All right,
There we are.
that's where I was, okay.
okay.
I went down one, two.
All right, Call for vote?
Chipwood,
Yes.
Brightfield,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Ketchum,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Item O, discussion possible action regarding approval of the RFP from Infrastructure Solutions Group LLC and naming Steve Powell as the city engineer for the city of Prior Creek for fiscal year 2020, 2021. Is there a motion? Motion Smith,
I'll second.
second Shropshire. Discussion?
Yeah, I just want to make sure everybody understands this. There's no change in the contract, Mr. Powell. This is just a rollover contract.
That is correct.
Here, and I want to make sure everybody understands that, and I appreciate the job that he's done. That's all I want to make sure.
Very good. Thank you very much. I also appreciate the job that Mr. Powell has done. He's saved our bacon many times over this year's period of time. Thank you very much, Mr.
That's all I
Powell.
want to make sure.
Discussion? Call for vote?
Brightfield,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Ketchum,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Chipwood,
Yes.
All right. Item F, committee reports, budget personnel, Brakefield.
Nothing really to report, except our next meeting is gonna be held on the 14th, about 5:30.
Will they have at that point in time, will they have a copy of your proposed budget? So they-
Yes.
yeah, and then go back to them and come back to council, is that what?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Take that budget and tear it up and talk about it, whatever we need to do. Item B, ordinance insurance, Shropshire.
Nothing at this time.
Item C, street department, Smith.
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. Item G, unforeseeable business. There's been none. Item H, adjourn. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Ketcher and Smith. Call for vote?
Brightfield,
Yes.
Trammell,
No?
Thompson,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Ketchum,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
2 yeses.
Motion carries.
Yes.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Yes.
Yes, motion carries. Prior Public Works Authority, call to order. Item 2, approve minutes of June 16, 2020 meeting. Is there a motion?
Make the motion.
Second.
Motion Shropshire, second Trammell. Call for vote?
Trammell,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Ketchum,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Smith,
Abstain.
Chipwood,
Abstain.
Brightfield,
Yes.
Item 4, adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Catcher, Brakefield. Call for vote?
Thompson,
Yes.
Ketchum,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Chipwood,
Yes.
Brightfield,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
We are adjourned.